Welcome back to the Nash Potatoes Outdoor Show. Today I'm near Grand Rapids, Michigan, doing part 3 of my camper conversion. This is Camping Vlog 44. Don't go anywhere. Alright, this is part 3 of the camper conversion. Today on the agenda are some really cool items. First off, we're going to work on that back porch. That's going to be really cool. I bought some canvas from Amazon, and it's going to add a lot of square footage, let a lot of light in. That's going to be a really cool project for us. We've been brainstorming exactly how to construct that, and hopefully everything will come together today. And then just a couple more items. I bought a door handle, like an actual RV door handle. We're going to try and install that. And I think my bed mattress will be done. Donna's been working on that. And then we're going to hang those 2 organizers from the ceiling of my camper. So this is going to be a fun day. Thanks for watching. All right. So we begin week 3 of the camper conversion by completing a project that we started last week. Just simply installing these 2 storage organizers. And we didn't have the proper brackets last week, so this week we're able to pop them into place. This is going to be a great storage solution because it helps me get some stuff up off the floor, maybe some groceries and some clothing and that kind of stuff. So just a couple of small brackets there screwed into the ceiling of the camper. And then this just simply velcroed around. These are actually really cheap at IKEA. If you're looking for something similar, I think they're maybe $10 if that. So that fit into place just about perfectly. That goes right next to my bed and desk there, if you remember that. And then we had to do the same thing with this white one. The white one is just a little bit bigger. This sits right next to my door and my kitchen counter. So maybe this is the one that I'll put food in, but similar thing, just screwed into the ceiling there. He's just using a self-tapping screw to kind of pop a quick hole in. I think that self-tapping screw also provides him for some threads, so when he puts that screw in, it tightens right up. If you use a drill bit, it doesn't provide any threading for you, obviously, so Dick is very smart about all that stuff. This one we actually velcroed to the bar before we secured it. Seemed to work a little bit better that way. And just 2 screws is all it takes. This big white one is awesome. I think I'll be able to hold a lot of stuff in there. Nothing not too heavy, obviously, but pop the second one in and then I'll pan down so you can see exactly what it looks like. Very nice. All right, now we're going to install this door handle that I bought from Amazon. I think it cost me like 35 bucks or something. Our brains were struggling to come up with a solution about what to do with this door. And then my dad realized that there was actually already kind of cutouts in the door for a door handle. So I bought one from Amazon. And so he started out with a small drill bit, and then moved up to the bigger drill bit. And then as you'll see here in a second, he broke out the jigsaw, I think it's called. And he's never done this before, but he just kind of troubleshooted exactly what he thought we needed to do and made some adjustments along the way. It went together quite smoothly, actually. And then just a few more cuts. All right, as you can see, now we need to get the part where the door connects to the frame. And that was a really thin metal right there. We weren't sure exactly if it would just pull out or what, but we used a similar scenario. And then he just pounded that back a tiny bit. Well, Jason, I think it might work.
All right.
Looks sharp. And as you can see, we got the outside put on. Now we just need to put the inside one on. And that ended up fitting great. I was able to keep all my hardware, as you can see, popped closed nice and securely. And then this, I don't know what that's called right there, that actually still fits on as well, which we weren't sure about, but it's perfect. Voila! All right, now let's start on the back porch. We need to figure out how we could support the flooring. Obviously, I'll be walking on that, and those are designed for motorcycles and dune buggies and stuff like that. So obviously that flooring will support quite a bit of weight as long as we can figure out a good solution. So we got it level to about where we needed to be. Then we realized that there's these rubber mats on the back of the rubber grommets, I don't know what they're called, on the back of the on the outside of the camper there. So we thought maybe we could put something into those. And sure enough, this PVC piping was a great solution. We just needed to grind down the connections just a little bit so that it would fit in there a little bit tighter. So my dad just ground off the outside edges, and sure enough, it went right in there. And then my dad actually picked up some more hardware from Lowe's, and we were able to get that looking just a little bit nicer, like a support base. And then we actually screwed that into some of the planks from the wooden pallets we've been using, and comes together really great. I was really happy with the solution. Just popped a couple screws in. Boom! I loved it. All right, now we need to do the framing. I picked up some tarps from Amazon. 2 of them, actually.
And the other thing, too, is my thought would be, we'll level this first and make sure we drop that down maybe this far.
So my dad's trying to kind of visualize what exactly to construct. He's been thinking about it for quite a few days. He picked up these PVC pipes from Lowe's, and we're pretty sure that we know what we need to do. Cut a few pieces here, and there's actually that hinge at the bottom of the door there, and so we decided to utilize that hinge. It's very similar to like a piano hinge, and so we needed to just pop a few holes in there. That's a pretty thin metal. We weren't sure exactly if that was gonna work, but in the end it looks like it's gonna be a great solution for us. So popped a hole in the other side. And then we just needed some bolts that were long enough to go through. Put a couple nuts on the end. Dick, I think, will be very proud of me that I finally realized the difference between a nut and a bolt. And then what we actually did was use like a wooden dowel on the inside, just on the inside of that PVC pipe, to provide just a little bit more support. I'm not sure if it was necessary or not, but it was probably a good idea. So we've got it connected. Now we just need to do the top part. So we put a T on the end over there, and then another T in the middle.
Now see, this will be the only one to be turned in this way. Yeah.
And continued on down the end. We needed that to fit that. We needed that bracing to fit inside the door so that we could actually close the door. You'll see here in a second what I'm talking about. Yeah, so these will be the elbows that will connect back to the back side of the camper. None of this really makes much sense just yet, but you'll see here in a second as we go a little bit further along. So a couple small PVC pipes to connect that elbow piece. And we were so proud that it fits inside the door, only to realize later on that it needs to go a little bit further than that, but you can see it does come up, and it worked exactly as we were hoping it would. So then we need something for that framing to connect to the actual camper. So my dad is working on a solution for that. We needed a similar scenario as what we have on the back there. We need, I guess, kind of the male and the female sections. So my dad glued those pieces together, and we got them kind of temporarily screwed up there for now to see if we could get it to pull together. So this is just the center bar. We'll have 3 bars all together. And sure enough, it holds together. That PVC piping is plenty strong.
But what you're going to have to do, probably, is going to take them in and out, is sand that.
So as you can see, we've got it about where we want it. So we decided to screw it into place with the similar brackets as what we used to install those organizers on the inside of the camper. And it all holds together nicely. We will just very quickly realize that we should have brought the bracing out just a little bit further, because there's actually going to be a small gap when we put the canvas over the top. I guess it's not really canvas, it's more like a poly tarp, they call it. So here you see we put the tarp over the top, and we realize that there's just a little bit of a gap. Nothing we can't fix, but we've never done this before, so looks really cool on the inside. That clear tarp allows for a lot of light to come in. It's really going to open up the camper, give me a lot more living space. I'm really happy with this idea here. So yeah, there's that gap I talked about. We ended up having to extend those bars out just a little ways, but it's looking pretty good. The only other solution we needed was I have another gray tarp for the back part, and the reason I did gray on the back is because I did want a little bit of privacy. So once we figured out a solution for that gap, and then we'll figure out exactly how to attach that gray tarp. So that's about all we did on that day. And then a week later, we extended out that PVC pipe. As you can see, it goes beyond the door opening. And then as you can see, yeah, there's no more gap. We ended up doing bungee cords along the bottom because there's already grommets in that tarp, so we thought we'd utilize those. And then on the inside, everything looks pretty great. The bungee cords kind of seemed janky, but they worked just really great. It was a really great solution. So then on the inside, we decided to use these metal hooks and then the grommets on the tarp just to simply zip tie. So we thought we'd run to the hardware store really quick, and sure enough, we picked up 8 of those eye hooks, maybe they're called. And the zip tie seems like a janky solution, but it actually works really great. This is something I'm going to need to be able to put up and down as I move from campsite to campsite. And I was really happy with that. So then 3 days later, I decided I'd try to construct everything on the fly, all on my own. There's the back part, and then the framing, and then the tarp. And then the only other thing I needed was these zip ties, and we put together some foam padding for the corners because the edges of the floor section were a little bit on the sharp side, and it was only a matter of time before the tarp would start to tear. So I've got what I needed. Now let's just see if I can put it together here. So Donna constructed most of this, the gray tarp there. She's really good with the sewing machine. So she was able to sew in some Velcro pieces. It's all Velcroed on the bottom and bungee corded on the other side. That gray tarp can actually stay there all the time. So I just needed to pop in that middle brace, and then the brace on the right side. Took me a few seconds because obviously first time I've done it on my own, but that piece went in just as I had hoped. This is actually back in Kalamazoo, Michigan is where I'm doing this. Took me a second to pop that one in, and then I popped in the one on the left side. That one went in just a little bit easier. So on this back porch, I won't be able to stand up because it's just a little bit shorter than the inside of the camper, but I will be able to sit in there. So then I just had to try and get this up over the top. It was a little bit windy, and what I realized is I need to figure out exactly which grommet is the center grommet, so that what I can do next time is actually just start zip tying the top part and the inside part, and then I can do the bungee cords later. What I did today was, it was so windy I started to pop the bungee cords on first, only to realize that once those bungee cords are on, that tarp really isn't going to move far enough for me to get those zip ties on. So I really just wanted to make sure I was able to do it all by myself, and I think it looks really great. As I mentioned, that clear tarp allows for a lot of light because I don't have any windows. I do have a vent on the inside that allows for a little bit of light, but other than that, I'll have to buy some battery powered lights, I guess. So then these are the foam pieces here. Dick had some laying around his barn, and I'm really happy with that solution. It wraps right around the corner there. And once I get that tarp pulled nice and tight, they won't go anywhere. So then just a few more bungee cords along the back. Kind of button up that. My first camping trip will be to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan in the Ottawa National Forest. I'm pretty excited about that. Actually headed up there this weekend to find an exact location. So just kind of trying to play around with how to exactly button up that bottom corner. But I think once I have it pulled closer to the camper with the zip ties, that'll all pull in just a little bit neater than that. So I'm looking at it thinking, all right, how to get this a little bit tighter. I quickly realized it's just not going anywhere. And I didn't want to waste a bunch of zip ties anyway, because I think what we were doing was 3 zip ties on the top and then 4 zip ties along each side. So it's going to take me about 10 or 12 zip ties each time I change campsites. But as you can see, there is no gap in there. All right, here we go. I think it looks great. It adds so much square footage. I mean, I'd be foolish to not make use of that. So then as we come around the inside here, you'll see it does add quite a bit of square footage. There's the desk and the bed. I'll show off that bed mattress a little bit in a little bit better detail in the next video. There's my kitchen counter and the pegboard. And then there's that gray piece that Donna put together. That looks beautiful. We did zip ties along the top, bungee cords in the middle, Velcro on the bottom. And then as I mentioned, we extended the framing out a bit. All right, and then I'll zip tie across the top. 3 zip ties is what works. maybe 4 zip ties. 3 or 4 zip ties should be sufficient there. And then once I have this pulled tight, then we put those metal, you'll see here in a second, there we go, there's 1, 2, I think we did 4 of them, and then zip tie those right to the grommets in the tarp, and that'll pull nice and tight. Actually, don't think I'll get any rain in there whatsoever. The only area where there will be a gap is right along the bottom there, as you can see, but I'm not too worried about that. If I do get some mosquitoes in, I can easily close that up with a piece of wood or something along those lines. But voila, baby, I love it. Well, that's about all I've got for you today. I do have one more video lined up for this camper conversion series. I'll probably do that next week. I want to get my refrigerator in here, my camp stove, talk a little bit more about my generator that I selected for solar power. And I want to get the bed down with pillows and sheets and all that stuff, get everything made up. And the biggest part is I wanted to talk about the expenses. I have been detailing the expenses as we went along, so I will have a grand total for you so you can get an estimate as to what this might cost if you wanted to do it on your own. But that's all I've got for you today. Thanks for watching the Nash Potatoes Outdoor Show. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. We will see you next week. Have a good one.